Welcome everyone. Today is Thursday, May the 9th, 2013. Now before we get started on our analysis for the 9th, let's go back and tie up our loose ends, I should say, from yesterday, May the 8th. And so the first one on the list here that we want to take a look at is Tower Group, TWGP. Now these guys actually announced in the evening, and so we didn't get a chance to look at a chart that would be relevant to what's going on with them. Let's go do that now and see how they did through the day today. So if you will remember this yearly chart here, you can see that they have been in an uptrend through the course of the last 6 months or so, and they did hit a new 52-week high right here with today's trading. If we drill down just a little bit tighter to that all-important 5-day chart, and you can see that here's that 52-week high right in here. We didn't actually get the gap up. We didn't actually get the pop I like to see, and we may have. Let's drill down a little tighter. I usually don't, but let's look at a day chart and see what happened here. And we see that there was a lot of activity over here early in the morning, and then it just continued to trail up through the course of the day, hit a peak here about 2:30 in the afternoon. That did form their new 52-week high. So not a bad looking chart, not bad. My concern here is, where has this chart been? Let's back out and look at a 5-year chart. Now this is obviously a lot longer, but you can see here that this chart has actually been in a downtrend here for quite some time. And that is a little bit disconcerting. If we come right here and just draw a trend line on the chart, you can see that it's been humming down here for quite some time. And now it seems to have broken through and broken out of that trend. So there might be a couple of dollars here. I'm not terribly interested in it for trading today, though. It's just this downward chop for the last couple of years. Looks like a breakout. What I'm going to do is just watch and wait. I'm going to wait for a retrace and then look for an entry. So let's go back to our list. And the next one on the list that we didn't get cleaned up yesterday is this one right here, CXW. CXW Corrections Corporation. They say that if you'll remember, instead of $2, they're going to do between $2.08 and $2.16 for the year, for the balance of the year. So let's go have a look at their chart. And this is the yearly chart, same one that we looked at yesterday. And you can see here that they've been in a nice steady up climb, nice steady uptrend for months and months and months and months. Hit a new 52-week high here. And then this is the one with the big drop. I don't know exactly what happened. This is a strange kind of scenario. And then from the drop, it has bounced, and they are announcing better than expected earnings. So let's drill down and look at the 5-day chart and see what might be going on here. Yeah, now on the 5-day chart, I'm not really seeing it. I didn't really see the gap up right in this neck of the woods that I would have expected. And it looks like it trailed off quite a bit. I wonder what it did exclusively on today's trading. Yeah, big pop over here, followed by quite a trailing off. As a matter of fact, it looks like it popped in the early minutes and then immediately within 4 or 5 minutes traded actually below where it opened, which is a big no-no. That's one we would have gotten out of anyway had we been in. That would have violated our stop rules. So yeah, not seeing this one might be worth watching. Put it on a watch list with 1,000 others, and we'll see what it does in the future. But not interested in trading this one today based on what happened with today's trading. Let's roll back to our list. And the next one we said we were going to take a look at is right here, Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. Very interesting trading today. Oh my goodness. You know, I believe I mentioned yesterday that this thing could hit up into the low to mid 70s if it was doing a 50% retrace of the chart pattern we were looking at, and I can show you that in a second. It actually traded up to about 76 today alone. And anybody coming to this might be a little late to the party. At least that's my feel, at least for the moment. And here's why. They indicated that they were, while the estimate on the street was 65 cents, that they were going to announce between 71 and 78. They announced 21 cents a share. Now, needless to say, that got a lot of attention. But if you come down here and look at their numbers for 2013, it's even more telling, because the street estimate, the same guys who said you were going to do 65 cents, say that for the year of 2013, or for the fiscal year of 2013, they're going to do about $2.82. And these guys are saying, now we're going to do between 305 and 315. Now, maybe they're pulling the punch just as much on this number as they are this number. And I think a lot of people think that. The problem is, if they are not, this is, worst case, a 23-cent move. We're going to do 23 cents better than the analysts expected. And we've already done 21 cents of it up here. Now, obviously, these guys don't always tell you exactly like it is, especially when they have good news. Maybe that's going to happen again for the next quarter. But they've only got one quarter to do it. But then to make this number, they've only got a couple of cents to make to get the 305, up to about 12 or 13 cents to get the 315. So best case, they're showing 12 or 13 cents in the next quarter according to these numbers, unless, of course, they're pulling the punch again. And obviously, they're capable of doing that. Let's look at their chart quickly. And here's what happened today, right? Started out down here, gapped up to here, and then continued to climb through the balance of the day. So my gut feel is that there are a lot of people out there who are actually betting that they're pulling the punch on the yearly numbers as well. I mean, why wouldn't you? And if you come down here and look at these comparative volume numbers, it's just a joke. There are a lot of people that read the news that they beat by 21 cents last night and jumped on board. Just absolutely piled in. So my gut feel is this one is a good one to trade. I mean, you got to realize this thing has traded a whole lot higher than $76. Let's go out to a 5-year, and I can just show you here. This thing's been up here around, 107, 107 and a half, 108, This thing has traded a whole lot higher than the $76 that it's sitting at right now. And so there is a lot of room to climb. This looks vaguely like an inverse head and shoulders kind of situation down here. I was thinking to myself that in order to make this worthwhile, you would have to pop above this number, right? You'd have to pop above this high, the resistance set right here, which the price is $68.27, but the high was actually $71.15. And truth be told, even though the chart doesn't show it right now, if we go back down to, say, even a 3-day chart, that's going to give us more accurate numbers. And you can tell that, man, we blew 71 out of the water almost in the gap. We took 71 out. And so this thing's got plenty of room to run. And it's above that $71.15 resistance. And so what I'm doing on this one is I'm looking for a little bit of the exuberance to die down over the next few days, looking for an opportunity to buy this thing on a dip back down around $70, $71 mark. And maybe I miss it, maybe I don't. But that's where I stand right now. I think this thing is going to do a little bit of correcting over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then I'm going long on it for the balance of their fiscal year. So put that one on the list. Keep watching it, because that's one in a couple, 3 weeks. Or you could, if you're brave like me, just set an entry limit down around that $70, $71 mark. I haven't decided. And, if you're trading options the way I am, you have to do a little bit more math than that. But it's not all that terribly complicated. So anyway, let's go back to the list and see if there's anything that we missed. And the only one I still wanted to touch on just briefly was to, once again, let's look at this one, CTSH Cognizant Technology. Now, if we go and we look at their event, the street says 99 cents, they're saying $1.06. And if you come down here, you see that they actually announced that they beat by 8 cents. So instead of 7, they came in with 8. But the thing that caught my attention was this one right here that says CTSH issues mixed guidance. So I want to click and go see what the mixed guidance was, because I didn't see any yearly numbers. I only saw the quarterly numbers. So you take a click over, and we can see here that their so-called mixed guidance is the second quarter from 99 revised upward to $1.06. But for the year, 405 revised upward to 431. And this is where a little simple math comes in. As of yesterday, the estimate on the street was $4.05. These guys are saying 431, a 26-cent difference. So if you figure they announced they beat by 8 cents, that still leaves a 17-cent swing. 17 cents that's going to happen in the next 2 quarters, which leaves us with 8.5, 9 cents for the third quarter and 8.5, 9 cents for the fourth. Okay? So these guys, in order to make this number come true based on the estimate and the new upward advisement, which, you know what, they made this one come true plus a little bit. So that gives me the feeling that they can probably make this one come true and probably plus a little bit. And we've got 2 fiscal quarters to work with, 2 additional earnings dates coming up, in which they're going to have to beat their numbers by just a hair under a dime for each one of them. So that's pretty good news. Let's look at a chart. And so here's the year chart that we looked at yesterday. There's a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern here. The shoulder over here breaks the neckline, and then we see a nice giant fall here on pretty respectable volume, okay? So you go into this area and you see that, yes, there were in fact a lot more sellers than buyers. That's okay. Somewhere down here we seem to have found a bottom, and it immediately bounces back up, okay? Up and down, but nonetheless back up. We hit our earnings date, and let's drill down, take a look at the 5-day and see exactly what effect that had. And on relatively high volume, we get a nice pop up in volume. So our price here is about 64.5 to 67, 68. So a $3.50 jump, and the continuation of the missing mast bull pennant. Well, that's not fair to say. There is a mast right here. You can see it's in the form of a shadow. So all that tells me was that it popped in the early time frame, and then there was quite a bit of profit taking. There are a lot of people who were saying, hey, if we get a good pop on earnings, I'm going to just take my money off the table. I do that all the time. So that's what somebody did. But then it continues. The buyers show up in droves, drives it a little bit higher, and drives it a little bit higher still, and it finishes right down here for the day. So this is one that looks like it's a player. This is one that I think probably for the next quarter they're going to outperform. And so what we're going to want to do is look for an opportunity to get involved with this one. Let's start looking once again for an opportunity to kind of buy on a dip. Let's get a little bit of a retracement, and I would probably target that down around 67. I don't know, it looks pretty solid. It looks pretty solid. So down around 67, I'm a buyer. And then if we bring that year chart back up, that's going to give us a target. If we're down around 67, we can get in. I'm looking to get in at 67. I'm looking for about a 10% move in the underlying value of the stock. And I want to get an option that takes me all the way through the next earnings date. So that cleans up yesterday's. Boy, that feels like a daily video in and of itself. Let's go back to the list and take a look at what's going on right now today. And the next one here is Ubiquity Networks, the UBNT, for their fourth quarter. The estimate is 23 cents, and they say they're going to do between 26 and 29 cents. Let's look at their event. And the next earnings release date, May the 9th after the market. So that probably has already happened tonight. Let's look at the news. Yeah, they guided above and said they're going to beat by 3 cents, and they beat by 3 cents. Good for them. Let's go look at a chart. And as we see here, here's a yearly chart where they've been pretty flat through the course of the year and have just recently broken out after taking a fall, last June. And so this high created today is a new relative high. It's the highest that they have been, gosh, since June, since they took the fall. And this one we don't need to pay too close attention to because it's trading below our $17 a share threshold. So let's go on back to our list. And the next one is Gap GPS. Instead of 56 cents that the mathophiles say, they're going to do between 68 and 69 for their first quarter, wading through their numbers. So let's see exactly what that event is. And look at this. They're predicting for the future, May 23rd after the market. That's a couple of weeks out. We could actually put together a trade on this. Let's go look at a chart. And on the yearly, we can see that this is in fact a climber. That we did a little head and shoulders pattern here, followed by a drop. It's now fought its way back above the head and shoulders. And now it seems to be in a climbing mode. This is just today a 52-week high, it looks like, today, between today and yesterday. So this looks pretty good. Let's drill down to a 5-day chart and see what's going on with a little tighter lens. And it's not really the typical one that I'm looking for. It looks like it did pop up pretty highly, then trailed off below, actually got below the opening point just by a few pennies, and then climbed back up and sort of slogged through the rest of the day. So this is not one that I'm terribly interested in. Maybe the 1-day chart has some profound revelation to change my mind. And no, not really. It doesn't. So that's a shame. That could have been some quick, easy money, and it still might be. But the indicators that I'm looking for are just not here. Back to the list. And the next one on the list is Ross Stores, ROST. For their first quarter, the estimate was $1.05. They're going to do between $1.06, $1.07, with some prior numbers here of $1 to $1.04. Yeah, not too terribly thrilled. They're also announcing their earnings on May the 23rd before the open, and they're going to beat by a penny. Well, let's look at a chart. And as we can see here on the yearly chart, this is one that has been trailing off earlier within the last 12 months, and it's just now starting to break out of that. We see here that the 50 is just about to cross over the 200. And so if that momentum can continue, we might have a player here. Let's drill down and look at a little bit tighter chart. And I don't really see the pattern that we usually see. It looks like they announced, we had the subsequent open, it then traded below the open. And so probably not the one that we're looking for in this particular one. So there are a lot of fish in the sea. Let's go fishing again. And the last one here with numbers we can use is this one, Wet Seal, WTSL is the ticker. For the first quarter, instead of losing 4 cents, they say they're not going to make a penny. That's a 5-cent swing. Let's take a little closer look and see what their event is. They are going to be announcing here in a couple of weeks, May 21st, after the market. So let's go over and look at a chart. And not a bad looking chart, actually. We have some pretty soft volume coming in here. We have a nice, good high volume spike, a little bit of a gap up, little reach for the sky, and then some bull pennant type of action. And the pennant does seem to be fluttering up. So if this thing traded for $17 a share, I would be all over it. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And so that's all I've got for you today. So let's get back together tomorrow. Follow your trading rules as always, and I will send you another analysis of all of this fun and exciting action tomorrow.